What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Rene, and this is This Week in Black. I'm glad that you can join us. Today, we're going to be having a discussion. It's going to be a little different from what I usually do, but I definitely want to make sure that we get these ciphers in to talk about important things that are going on with our community, right? So, this evening, we have a guest on. His name is Mr. George Brooks, and he and I are going to be talking about mental health in our community. So, we're going to be doing that, and I'll see y'all in 30 seconds. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. This is your girl, Rene, and this is This Week in Black. If this is your first time here, hello. I definitely welcome you. Again, my name is Rene, and this is a program for us. Okay, it talks about our health, things that are going on in our community, our achievements, our goals, all the stuff us. So this is a place where we showcase that. Okay, if you would like to see yourself, where you can see me, you want to come and talk about what's going on in your community, what's going on with your business. If you want to promote your business, you definitely can do that. You can come on. I would love to have you. Just reach out 914-655-4993, and we can see about getting you up here. Okay, now those of y'all that have been here before, I definitely appreciate y'all for coming back. Let me take a deep breath. Whew. I was running around, right? Got to slow down sometime. All right. So those of y'all that have been here before, I definitely appreciate y'all for coming back. I know that y'all have heard me talking about bringing on guests. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we covered is mental health. Mental health in our community is something that's always existed, but we haven't always been seeing about it. I remember the time where it was a stigma. We didn't go seek help. We didn't really talk about the things that were going on, but we live in a different age. Things are getting diagnosed now. Things are getting names. Anytime you turn around, you see someone talking about different behaviors that we might have seen in our life and then have a name of, even either in ourselves or in people that we love or know. So I think it's definitely a good time to make sure that we're checking in on mental health. It's no longer the big stigma that it was. Our people are starting to go to counseling, seeing self-help tactics that are effective. Remember, there's also a science behind it when it comes to, like, you see how I took a deep breath, kind of slowing myself down. That stuff really works. So the more information that you know, the more that you can put it to use. So I definitely want to bring my guest up. Again, his name is Mr. George Brooks, and he is someone that I see that talks about mental health more on a focused path. I bring it up from time to time in my shows that I have. Sometimes at the recaps of my shows, I talk about it. But I think that this brother will be able to give us a lot of good information, and we can have us a cipher and just talk about the different things that we might see in our community, know of ourselves, know of situations, and see how we can help each other. And, with conversation and, having breakthroughs. That's where breakthroughs come through, having conversations. So hopefully this bill will bring forth some beautiful fruit. So without further ado, we're going to bring the brother on up. There
Good
he is.
afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad that you can make it. You are my official first guest here. We had talked about it a little while back about having you. I'm glad that you were able to make it. It's good to see your face.
Good to see you too.
Okay. So, I would definitely like you to, just introduce yourself, just who you are, your organizations and things like that, and just let the people know a little bit about yourself, brother.
All right. My name is George Brooks. Excuse me. Originally from Memphis, Tennessee. Um, had various experiences in my life which have led me to this current point where I am the CEO of a nonprofit called Metta Association. We focus on Black mental health, fatherhood, and fighting recidivism. I'm also a public speaker, writing a book right now. I've done some acting. I've kind of had my hands in many pots, but my core focus is on mental health. I myself am living with bipolar disorder, raising children that have had various emotional and some mental issues. So I feel like I'm well versed in trying to improve things for my people. Much of it is because I know what I experienced during trying moments of my life. And I remember in those moments thinking, I don't want another Black person, especially a Black male, to have to experience this. And while I'm focused on Black and Black male mental health, I'll help anyone, but I have to start at home. I have to clean my house before I clean anyone else's. And that's really what I endeavor to do. I've been on my own journey, but I'm very open and honest, sometimes too candid about my views, but that's what it takes for us to initiate these discussions so we can see real change. And as you were saying, now we're finally beginning to discuss that in our homes. Uh, Mental health, also emotional health. And what I want to do is endeavor us as a diaspora, as a people, to use that to facilitate our healing. Because for far too long, and this goes back to slavery, that's where a lot of this originally started. Our mental health has been under attack. And it still is. And much of this has been self-imposed. So we have to break our mindset in terms of, one thing I hear a lot is, I was just raised that way. That's not a good excuse anymore. Since the pandemic, we are now aware of mental health. We're now having those discussions. I feel that it is our time to get into therapy, get active about our mental health, because not only is it affecting our communities, it's affecting us economically, whether we know it or not. And one thing I want to try to do is convey ways to get people to understand, especially our men, are not dealing with our mental health and emotional health is keeping us broke. It's keeping us in broken homes. Is keeping us pretty much oppressed. And whatever we can do to try to stem that tide, to try to improve our own situation, we have to do. But it all starts with mental health. Before you can have an economic discussion, before you can have discussions about our place in society or things like that, if we're not mentally healthy, then it's all for naught. So I started my nonprofit Metta Association about 5 years ago. Done a lot of good work. We're looking on some big things next year, big projects. So our current site is going through a redesign. We'll have that up by the end of the year. But being a nonprofit, we do ask for your donations, and you can donate via Cash App at Metta, METTA Association. Those funds go 100% to us building programs, to helping people, and to keep us going. So that's pretty much my story.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. You said a lot there, brother, and I definitely want to hit on some of the things that you said. I definitely want to say congratulations on working on the book. Making a book is a tough thing. So to be able to take that dedication and having that want to put out a product like that takes a lot. So congratulations on that. And definitely congratulations and appreciations on putting the Metta Association together. As you said, mental health is kind of like part of the foundation of all the other things that we're trying to build up to get, or trying to add upon that we already have. It's like if your mind ain't right, the whole thing's not going to work. You know what I mean? So definitely there. And I definitely can appreciate, as a Black woman, the fact that you want to assist Black men on navigating through the different things that can affect y'all, when it comes to mental health, because part of that foundation is the Black family, right? And in the Black family, you have the male entities and you have the female entities. So being able to get down to the bottom of different things can help that unit become more cohesive, which in turn will produce better offspring and better results. And that's one of those things where, they always talk about generational wealth. When they say that, I don't just think about the things we can hold in our hand. I also think about the things that we can put in our hearts and our heads of our children that can make them, just have a better chance at just life, period. You know what I mean? I also want to ask you a question, because I heard you say this. This is something that I've often thought about, is when you said that it goes back as far as slavery times. There's a term that they call post-traumatic slave disorder, right?
Right.
And before, I haven't done a lot of research in it, but I have, started to peel back the layers of it. But before I actually went down that path to find out about it, I've always been a thinker, and I always want to know, well, why? Like, where does this come from? Like, okay, we know that this behavior, they might exhibit this behavior, but why are they doing it? It's not just this is their behavior. Like you said, that's just how I was raised, or that's just how I do. Why? Get into the root of that. And I do think that some of the things that show themselves in our present society, as Black people do come from some things that happened in slavery. So my question is, have you ever heard of post-traumatic slave disorder? And if so, or if not, what are your thoughts about that?
Definitely heard of it. I'm definitely a believer in it. A lot of my focus is trying to address those issues and things that were done to us as a diaspora to initiate that. Um, if you look back at slavery, the first thing they did was separate the family unit, uh, and you're seeing echoes of that today, in the sense of we don't have as many stable households as we should. We have households that are dominated by women, and not that there's anything wrong with that. So I don't want to, but to me,
It's a lot. It's a
that ain't
lot to
natural.
unpack. You know what I
Right. It's a
mean?
lot to unpack. Yeah.
Definitely.
And to me, what we need to do uh, is address and discuss those issues coming back from slavery. You can look at other things such as skin tone.
Hmm.
That's something that was instilled in us back during slavery as a way to keep us divided, and it still goes on to this day. But one of the reasons I want to focus on men is because I feel that men should be the leaders of our household and communities. Uh, and this is nothing against women, but I don't feel that's natural. I feel that that's why we have many of the problems that we have.
Okay.
And we need to try to restore our my brothers as the heads of our communities, spiritually, economically. But to do that, that's going to take work. That's going to take therapy. That's going to take
Yeah.
healing. Before we can deal with our women, we have to deal with ourselves first, and that's really where it starts. So, I mean, this is just my part to do that, just based off things I've experienced. This is God's purpose for me, so that's what I endeavor to do.
Definitely appreciate it, brother. So Metta Association. So tell us, like, where did the name come from, and like what sparked the idea? I know you said it's your purpose, but like what was that moment where you was like, you know what? I'm supposed to be doing this.
Right. Well, a few years ago, I was at a low point as far as my mental health, as far as relationships in my life. I was going through a bad divorce. I had an addiction problem, and I was coming out of the throes of that, trying to pull myself up on my own. And I was laying on the couch one day, and I was thinking, what is my purpose? And I asked God, what do you want for me? What do I want for myself? And it's like it just came to my head, Metta Association. Um, People had talked to me about doing a nonprofit. So I immediately got up at that point physically and started doing the research. The word Metta, Metta, is a Buddhist term for inclusion. It means to help everyone. So that from that day it was born. So it's been quite a journey. Many nonprofits have faltered over the pandemic, but we've been able to keep things going. And next year is going to be a big year. Right now, I'm designing a course for 13-year-old boys, because I found that's the age where they really begin to try to come into their own, and they really need that focus and guidance. So I'm working on a course for that, where I teach about manhood, relationships, chivalry. That's something we need in our community, get chivalry. Just those little things that I feel can make a great difference in terms of where we can go as a people, because we are not in our proper spot in this world, especially Black men. We're the most ostracized. We're the most criticized. We're the most demonized.
Yeah.
And in order for us to get over that hump, we got to heal. But part of that, the thing is, like you were saying earlier, the stigma is still there. That if you have a mental illness or an emotional illness, is just somehow weak to deal with it or admit it. No, what's weak is not dealing with it. Who wants to have a bleeding wound and don't treat it?
Right.
So that's the way I'm really looking at it. And part of the thing that I'm really pushing right now is for therapy for people. Whether you think you need it or not, it can be beneficial to you. And
like go tap in a little bit.
Yeah. You got to deal with your mental health, because one thing that people I think sometimes lose track of is the term health and mental health. It's part of our overall health. And until we can get to the point where we're humble enough to look in the mirror, especially as men, and say, you know what? I got this going on. I got that going on. I need to deal with it. You're going to falter. You're not going to have the prosperity you want. You're not going to have the life you want. That's why so many of us men are incarcerated. So many of us are not living up to our potential, frustrated, angry. We're beyond the point of blaming the white man for that at this point. While that is a factor, it always will be and always has been. That's not going to change. So what else can we do to help facilitate our growth and our progression? We got to deal with ourselves. So one thing I'm endeavoring to do is to create a forum where it's just us men, where we can, and not to exclude women, but we need to deal with ourselves on our own levels first.
Right. It
And I,
is to exclude women, and that's okay.
right,
I
right,
think that it's okay for men, black men, any kind of man. I think it's okay for y'all to have your own spaces where y'all can talk to each other and have that space
right,
without the presence of women. I know that everybody wants to be included, but I've said it before. Sometimes you can't go to the party.
right,
Sometimes you don't get a call, and that's okay. You know what I
right.
mean? So tell us about this space. Is it going to have a name, or is it going to be under Metta Association? Like, how do you envision that?
It's going to be an online forum. What I would like to do is, once I can get some support and funding and sponsors, maybe take it national, take it to different cities, get a venue where we can have those open conversations. Because my hope for this is to facilitate the initiation of healing with us black men. So then we can go to our women and say, okay, I'm at this point. Now let's talk about what's going on between us. But right now, many of us are not ready to have those conversations.
Yeah, I feel you on that, bro. I want to give the people a little 30 seconds to, get a little refreshments, a little bereavement, have a moment. So, we're going to take a 30-second break. Y'all go ahead and check on them kids, see what they doing. They done got a little quiet. Go ahead and get you a beverage, stretch your legs. We'll be back with you in 30 seconds. And bro, what I would like to talk about when you come back, you hit a lot of points, and I think we need to dive a little deeper, is the importance of the black man in our community and what that means and what that looks like. So I definitely want to jump on that. I hope that y'all stay for that conversation. We'll see y'all in 30 seconds. And we're back. We definitely appreciate y'all for making it through them 30 seconds and coming to see us. I definitely want to invite y'all, if you would like to be a guest on this show, just like we have Mr. George Brooks here, to talk about different subjects or to promote what you have going on, to talk about what's going on with you or in your neighborhood. I definitely would love for you to reach out, 914-655-4993. Reach out and we can see how that goes. I appreciate you, brother, for still being here so we can have these very important conversations.
Right.
Now, I know that you said that you want the black man to be back in the lead of our community, right? And I
Right.
definitely agree with you. You hit a lot of sensitive topics that I think that, they always say a hit dog, a holler, you know what I mean? And
Right.
and oftentimes people might not want to hear things that's a little grating to their feelings or their egos or their ears. But I do agree with you that I believe that having a man in the home dynamic and the family dynamic, a father, uncles, grandfathers, cousins, that male presence is very, very important in not only a male child's life, but in a woman's
Right.
and a little girl's life as well.
Right.
I had the pleasure to be raised by a family that was heavily in males. Now, there was women there too, but I had a lot of male cousins. I got some uncles. My grandfather was a lot of males, and that male presence, I know for a fact, helped shape who I am today. And then
Right.
different experiences led, going into the military, and that kind of doubled down on a lot of the things that I learned having those male figures around. And one of the things that I can appreciate, especially with seeing what's going on now online, with it seems like black men and black women are so against each other and
Right.
tearing each other down. Like, I've never hated the black man. And I can say that because as I was growing up, there were so many black men that I loved. So I could never hate the black man because my grandfather's a black man, my uncles, my cousins. So to hate the black man in some of the ways that I see black women do, it could never be, because I had the presence of those strong black men there. I can also say the flip side to that coin is the type of man that's around can definitely affect the children as well. So I would like to, dive into that conversation with you about the importance and presence of a black man in the family dynamic. From your perspective as a male, just give us a rundown on what you think.
Right. Well, a lot of really the main focus that a lot of people tend to get distracted by is just having a black male present. The thing is, he has to be a well black male. He
Mhm.
cannot, he cannot be the type that's not going to be open to healing his own trauma. Sometimes no father is better than a bad one. And that's what
Okay.
we really have to do. We really have to heal ourselves to where we're in the best position. And I'm the first one to say I'm still on that path. I'm not perfect, but I'm open enough and man enough to continue with my therapy and try to heal. And it's hard and it's painful. But once you come out on the other side, you'll find that your relationships are better. It's just a journey. But it's not just a matter of just having a male in the home. I mean, he has to be someone that is healed enough to fill those shoes. And
Right.
that comes through healing. And the thing is, we're not going to have a cohesive family if the head is sick.
Mhm.
And a lot of the energy that I get now from a lot of women is very masculine. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that, some of them, you know what I'm finna go in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean now.
They saying the women head of the household, it can,
Yeah,
that's all fine and good, but that ain't natural
right,
because we
right,
seeing the after effects. That's
right.
fine. You can be a boss and be all that, but it's not
Mhm.
necessarily your place in
Right.
God's eyes or in
There's
society's
some
eyes.
residual damage that comes with that I
Right,
don't think enough people are really addressing and seeing. Like, yo, there's residual damage that comes with that.
right. I
And
mean,
you right on point too about the type of male. How I watch the men in my family interact with the world, and women set the precedence on what I expected. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So you right on point with that. What was you gonna say, bro? My bad.
Even if you look at a lot of the songs, like I can't hardly listen to the radio anymore because see, some of these songs are so whiny and man hating, and I'm like, if you
Yeah, it's a
listening to
lot
that,
going on.
and you have, if you have women listening to other women who aren't even in relationships as far as how they deal with their men. You got people trying to tell other people what to do, and they have no idea what they're doing.
Mhm.
So,
Or they're in a relationship and they
right,
talking about the opposite at times.
right, and we really have to kind of stop all that. It's almost like it's cool to be a masculine woman, and what I mean by that
Mhm.
is to have that energy. And so, oftentimes to us men, it comes across as overly aggressive or bossy and domineering. And it's that turns so many of us off because it's like we don't have the latitude to come in and lead because you're so on this and you're listening to all the wrong stuff and you're listening to all the wrong people. It's hard to build a foundation off that. So we got to let that go. But also the
Mhm.
problem is we have a lot of men with feminine energy.
Talk about it.
So and we got a lot of that baby boy syndrome, but they came from predominantly female-led homes.
Aggressive, right?
Aggressive. Yeah. So that's why you
Right.
have a lot of men, a lot of black men in their 20s and 30s still living at home, not taking care of themselves, not doing what they're supposed to do,
Right.
expecting a woman to do something for them because they were enabled by women who weren't meant to raise a son. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that can't happen. If what I'm saying makes somebody mad, I'm sorry. But I'm living and I've seen it. It very rarely ever works out. That's why our family is broken and we got to deal with our mental
Yeah.
health first. And in the ways that it keeps us, economically disenfranchised is that if you don't have a solid family foundation, nothing else is going to work. And it's time for us to kind of to really deal with that and address it, but it has to be done on an individual level.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to engage in therapy or you know engage in healing because there's a difference between mental health and emotional health.
Yes. I
Mental
want to talk
health,
about that. Break it down,
right?
brother.
Mental health is more clinical in the sense that you may have a diagnosis. Emotional
Right.
health is just you and what you deal with and how you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are emotionally sick.
Yes.
And we got to start seeking treatment for that, because we're at a point now, and I'm noticing, over the past few years, this world is more and more and more competitive in terms of employment, in terms of economic standing, in terms of social standing. And we as Black people are falling far, far behind, especially us men. All right. We have other cultures and other races lapping us. The first thing we have to do to catch up is to deal with what's up here. Because if you're not right up here, nothing you do is going to succeed. Now, you may have a lot of money in the bank, you may go to work, you may have this, but you just have the trappings of a healed man. But until you can deal with it and be resolute with yourself, it's going to have an after effect. And we're really letting our women down by not dealing with it. We really, really are. And, I understand and I honor and respect women that have had to do it on their own, without a man, or a broken man, or a failed man. More power to you, but you shouldn't have had to do it. Right. You shouldn't have to raise your kids on your own. You shouldn't have to be a mother and a father. Well, you can't be a father, but you shouldn't have to feel that role. So as a way to heal it, we got to heal ourselves. And what I want is for men to develop that notion of healing, so that we can meet as men and women and talk those things out, because it's going to take communication. We don't know how to communicate. We don't. Yes. We don't know how to listen without we're oftentimes listening to respond instead of absorbing what's being told to us in a way that's going to be constructive. So that's the next thing too. We have to learn to communicate. And that's something that we can endeavor upon in our own families. And in terms of families, we all have families where you got those family secrets. Mm-hmm. We all, many of us sit around with Big Mama said it was this way. Well, Big Mama didn't know what the hell she was doing.
Right. And Big Mama tell lies sometimes. Everybody knows it. They just won't say it. You just won't say it out loud. You ain't supposed to say your mama a lie, but
yeah. And they have their own trauma to deal with. And, the thing is, we all have trauma to varying degrees that stays with us. But the thing is, you're responsible for your trauma at a certain point. You're responsible. People say they're triggered. Well, the world isn't responsible for your triggers. It's your responsibility to get your healing, to get your help, to get your rest, to get yourself right, to where you can be out in this world without everything triggering you to the point of catastrophe.
That's true. Now, that's the goal, is to not go into the world and be triggered by everything. You have to gain a sense of control over yourself. And if you can't, they have places for that. You know what I mean? Right. It's one of the things that you have to do. And I found that getting to the bottom of your triggers, as in where it comes from, it's helped me be successful in conquering them. Right. I'll give an example. When I used to lose things, I used to have panic attacks. Sometimes they'd be really bad. Sometimes they'd be really small. And anybody that hasn't had a panic attack, it is a very bad feeling. It feels like, it can feel like you're dying. It can feel like somebody coming to get you. It can feel like you can't breathe. Mines, I couldn't see. Like I could see, but I couldn't see. Like I would walk in circles. You know what I mean? I would be like, I couldn't really hear, like people and things were inaudible. And I would just have this big trigger response. So I finally got to where it came from is when I was younger, there was a period of time that when I lost things, it was a severe punishment for that. So every time I lost something, it took me right back to that place of fear, thinking that I was going to be beat. You know what I mean? So once I got and figured that out, it helped me to be able to kind of come off the ledge like, okay, you lost whatever you lost. Nobody's going to come and beat you. First, you have to establish that. I had to kind of retrain my brain. And, now I don't have those problems now. Sometimes I can't say that it might not go there, but it's down to maybe 10% as opposed to 99% as it was like 3 years ago. So I found that getting to the bottom of your triggers have helpful. Just asking you, have you found anything or any tips or any ways that help you, navigate through life, through your triggers or, hypersensitivities?
Well, the first thing that I had to do was establish a sense of accountability to where I was responsible for my actions, what I did, good or bad, and my own trauma. But the main thing I had to do, like when I had a problem with substance abuse, I was sitting there one day and I was thinking, I need to get to the point of why. Why am I turning to this? And I realized it's because I haven't dealt with my trauma. Addiction is nothing. Addiction is nothing. Sorry about that. Addiction
It's
is
okay.
nothing but the response to trauma, to untreated trauma. That's
Yeah.
all it is. And I hear
Mhm.
people all the time that dealing with people that have drug abuse issues. Well, what's going to get them to finally let that go? You can't get over a substance abuse problem for your mama, for your kids, for your
Right.
wife, any reason other than yourself.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
you have to really sit down and deal with that stuff that happened to you as a kid or happened to you in your life or in previous relationships that make you feel like you need that to fill that void. And that's a scary thing to do because you can only do it alone. You can only do it in solitude. If you're doing anything for anyone else in terms of healing, it is going to fail. That's why you see
Right.
so many people going in and out of rehab. They get off a while, they go back because they are not dealing with that initial wound. And it's
Yes.
going to continue to bleed. So, and it's the same thing in terms of our mental health and that trauma. I mean, how many families have those family secrets, whether it be substance abuse or sexual abuse? And we all got it, but it's
Mhm.
unspoken.
Right.
It's
It's all some
unspoken,
stuff sprinkled in there.
right? And until we start to speak about it and be real about it and stop running from it and stop being cowards, you're going to be negatively affected by it. Because even someone with the trappings of being successful, I found oftentimes they have deep wounds, and we
Hmm.
have to get to where we value what's important in life. And but it's a hard journey, and I think in some ways all of us have to hit a point of rock bottom. Well, no matter what that looks like for you, because my
Right.
rock bottom gonna look different from your rock bottom. But until we
Right.
get to that point and decide, okay, at this point it's time for me to heal and get better, nothing's gonna change.
You right there, bro. That's one of them what they say, the mic drop moments. When you drop it and make that noise. I
Right.
definitely appreciate all the things that you have to add to this conversation. Tell the people, what's on the horizon for the Metta Association. Like, what do you see going on in the present or the future that's like very near, or what do you hope for in the next years to come?
Well, really, what I hope to do, as I mentioned earlier, I'm designing a course for about 13-year-old boys. I'm looking at doing more courses, more public speaking. So if you would like to have me participate or collaborate or do some public speaking, you can reach me at, can I leave my number?
Sure.
214-810-6518.
I'm
I'm
gonna put it
available for
on the
public
banner
speaking.
for you.
Sure. I'm available for public speaking, consulting, collaboration of any time, anything that's going to lead to the healing of my people. That's extremely important to me. As far as Meta, we're going to be doing some more things, hopefully working with some municipalities in terms of programs to affect things socially. We want to work with law enforcement as a way to improve the relationship between our community and law enforcement by having them address dealing with people with emotional and mental issues. We find that's a great divide. Um, Dealing with, I also want to collaborate with certain parties in our correctional system to try to get into those prisons and get some programs started to try to facilitate that healing. So when our brothers and sisters come out, they have a better chance to function. Mental health is often ignored, is ostracized, is minimized, but it's as though it's like a body trying to live without a heart, and if that's not well, nothing else is going to work. So I'm really working hard on that. I've been blessed. I've met some great people like you that are really passionate about improving things with our people. That's been great. But in terms of Metta Association, I really see us coming into the forefront, growing, expanding, doing things to really help, getting out of the community. Uh, my one of my jobs is I teach kids kindergarten through sixth grade. That's extremely important to get in with our young people to show them early on what it's like to try to be emotionally healthy. Oftentimes, our children are not, and be careful about the perils of social media. Um, learn that your emotional diet and what you take in is going to be relative to what you get out and what you give out. So if you're on TikTok constantly and you're seeing a bunch of twerking videos, what do you
That's
think
what
it's going to?
you
Yeah,
right. Where did it come from?
right.
They
Where
ain't
did it
just
come
falling
from?
on your timeline.
Right. It's basically like eating junk food. If you
Right.
consume that, what do you think you're going to put out? And if you look at our society, if you look at many of our young people, they're eating garbage. spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And that's why we see so many problems. Even in people my age, I'm 45. My generation is getting good at recognizing about mental health because we're having the discussions, but we're still doing the poor things. We're still engaging in unhealthy relationships and behaviors. We're still not really embracing therapy. We're still consuming the wrong kind of media. And as long as we're doing that, you can't heal. You can't heal. But our children are important, and they are the future. Not to be corny, but I see it every day when I'm teaching my students. I watch how they react to certain situations. I watch how they interact with each other, and so much of it I can see it's trauma already at that age. So we really have to deal with that, and we need to make trauma a real thing we deal with. PTSD is real. It doesn't, it is not just in terms of someone who's in war. It's not always in terms of someone who's experienced a worldwide catastrophe. It's maybe the fact that your parent didn't know how to deal with their emotions and it damaged you.
Sorry about that. I'm listening to you, bro. Let me push mute so you can finish your thought.
So, and that's really the thing. And it's not a matter of blaming our families or blaming society. It's just, it is what it is. So, that's really what I'm working to do. I work every day tirelessly at it. My nonprofit is my heart. It's God's purpose for me. So I'm just looking to collaborate and expand and help as many people as possible.
Bro, let me know your number again because I'm trying to add it.
Right.
1 second. Let me know what it is again.
214-810-6518. And I call or text me there if you're interested in collaborating or having me come to speak. I will travel. That's not a problem. Or virtual. That's not a problem. But we have to have these discussions. We have to have people willing to initiate and facilitate these discussions. And they have to be people with the right heart and right mindset. And be careful, be careful of who we choose to follow and idolize. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Like, there's one person who's a pseudo celebrity that every time I hear them speak on something regarding mental health, I cringe because they're giving bad information. That's Charleston White. He's recently spoke on some issues regarding mental health, and he's so off base, and people are listening to his trash. We got to be careful who we listen to, who we follow. Everybody is not meant to help in our healing. Everyone can't come with us. So those that are going to be committed can come with us. If you don't, that's fine, but don't get in our way.
Yeah, some people do get left behind. Harriet couldn't take everybody, and it don't change just because it's 2023. Right. This is giving me a hard time. Tell me, brother, your number again. 214. We're gonna get it this time.
810 6518.
Remember when we was younger and we were trying to tell our people phone numbers and we were like, da 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 da. They were like, hold up. I've become the hold up lady.
Yeah. Well, we really don't remember. We don't have to remember phone numbers anymore because we all just switch on contact.
That's all right, though. Okay, I got your number down on the bottom, bro. I definitely appreciate you coming on and talking to us tonight. I'm sorry about the calls that was coming in. I have different facilities that do call in. I had one of the brothers, he was calling a little early. He knows that he's going to have to call back, but I definitely appreciate you. I think we had a nice cipher and a nice build. We got your number out there. Let everybody know what your social media is so they can follow you.
Right. George P. is in Peter Brooks on Facebook. We're at Metta Association on Instagram. We're building a new site, and right now donations are greatly needed. One thing I want to say about nonprofits, especially minority-owned nonprofits, is they don't typically get a lot of grants sometimes. So we're really dependent on the lifeblood of the people and community activism. We need to get to a point where we're not dependent on the government to fund or sustain us or heal us. So it really has to be a grassroots. So I do accept donations. We do accept donations. via Cash App at Metta, Metta Association. Every dollar helps, and it's going to go toward our programs and facilitate healing of our people.
Okay, bro. We definitely appreciate that. Make sure when this pops up for you that you can leave your information down at the bottom so people can have it at their fingertips. Again, I definitely appreciate you. You are officially my first guest, you
Right.
know, on This Week in Black. It's been a pleasure. I think we had a good build and cipher just, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know,
Right.
that's one of those conversations that could go on for a while. It's many different layers, but I think we definitely might have spoke enough about things that can spark a conversation, much needed conversations. So I definitely appreciate you. I hope this is your last time here on the show. Okay, I'm gonna finish up. I'll see you next time. Thank you, brother, for being here.
Thank you, and you stay blessed.
You as well. All right, we had the good brother pull up on us. We definitely appreciate him. That's Mr. George Brooks. He's going to be leaving his information on the bottom of this transmission. You'll either be seeing it on Facebook, you'll be seeing it on YouTube or on Twitter, but he'll make sure that he put his information down below so that you guys can have it at your fingertips. We got his number below. Okay, that's Mr. George Brooks of the Metta Association, 214-810-6518. Okay, talking about mental health. Again, you know, I do talk about mental health often on the times that I do get to make videos because it's important. Like the brother said, like I said before, you know, we got to make sure if the head ain't right, it's not going to be, you know, you're going to have issues. You got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You got to make sure you're taking care of your body. All of these things go together. You know, if you're not eating properly, getting enough hydration is going to affect your mind. If you got a lot of things on your mind, it's going to affect how your body functions. It's going to affect your appetite. It can affect your heart. It can affect all of these things. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure that we're taking care of each other and we're taking care of ourselves. We definitely know that the Black man is appreciated in our society, at least by me. And there's a lot of other sisters that think so. The Black man is definitely needed, and Black men and Black women need to work together. Okay. The Black man doesn't hate Black women, okay? It just seems like it does. I always tell y'all the internet is a place where people can come together, and it seems like so much because there's so many people saying the same thing. But don't forget, there's billions of people in the world. So this group of 1,000 people doesn't shape what the world thinks of you. There's love in our community, okay? And we have to make sure that we extend that love down to our children. The brother said it. I've said it before. It's not cliche. The children are our future. What we put into our children will continue to manifest into the future. Generational wealth isn't always the things that you can hold into your hand and that you can pass down, such as a house or, you know, different deeds to businesses. It's the gems that you can place in our children's hearts and in their minds, okay? If you would like to see yourself on this show, if you would like to promote yourself, if you want to talk about what's going on in your hood, you definitely can. Just reach out to me, your girl Rene, at 914-655-4993. Now, we're going to do a short show tonight. It's only 45 minutes, but I hope that y'all definitely did get to enjoy. And I appreciate y'all being here. If you would like to sponsor me, you definitely can. Just reach out to me at 914-655-4993, and we can talk about sponsorship. I would love to have you. I want to end on this video clip. I played this last week, but I think this is something very important. It talks about the Black family dynamic in communication, something that we typed on lightly, and having emotional intelligence along with taking care of our mental health. Y'all be well, and I'll see y'all next time.
Quick, I'm not gonna hold you long. This morning, my husband and I were bickering because he grumpy in the morning, and I'm already on. So we bickering and everything. You know, his voice got a little deep, a little loud. Okay, and I told him I don't like your tone, so I'm not gonna say nothing to you till you can check your tone. We all get in the car, ask him in the back. We chilling. We get to the second stoplight. My husband gets to the stoplight. He looks at me. He said, "Hey, I was talking too loud this morning. I really want to apologize to you. I'm sorry, baby, for raising my voice." And I said, "Oh, baby, it's no problem. I forgive you." We kiss. Axum Nova in the back goes, "Dad, it worked. Good job, Dad." Moral of the story is, These children are watching. Sometimes you need to disagree and make up in front of them and watch. Watch what happens to your kids.
Peace, y'all.